Hello my beautiful Lokins. In this video I'm going to be giving you Fiorina's best teams. We're going to go through some of her teams where she like shines the best, you can say. I mean, she can work on a lot of teams, but we're going to be picking like specific ones where those are like her actual best teams where she can't really be replaced and stuff like that. So it's like her actual like meta teams. So yeah, let's begin. Alright, so starting off with C0 and C1, that's like before she gets her C2. So in this state, she can still really be used as a buffer anywhere, as I said. But if we're talking about like her meta best teams, and you'd want to like take full advantage out of Fiorina herself, you'd want to use her with like a hyper carry who can lower their own HP. Because below C2, Fiorina can probably not like have the full fanfare stacks with like only her own HP drain. So you'd want to help her out with a character who can also drain HP. And with that, you can probably reach a very good amount of fanfare stacks and take full advantage out of Fiorina's damage bonus. So for those right now, we don't really have a lot. We have the new Fontaine DPSs, we have Wriothesley and Neuvillette. So we're gonna do teams with those. Alright, so first of all with Wriothesley, you'd want to play him in a freeze comp with Fiorina, obviously. So you'd obviously want Wriothesley, then Fiorina. And then you definitely want an Anemo on your team. So you can go Kazuha or Sucrose or whatever, any Anemo just for the Verdescent to buff Wriothesley's damage. And then finally, you're definitely gonna need a healer. With these type of teams, Wriothesley is gonna be draining his own HP, and then also Fiorina is going to be draining the whole team's HP. So the HP draining is just going to be too much. You definitely want a healer to heal you up. So you can go something like Diona, for example, for double Cryo, or Kokomi for double Hydro, or Charla, or whatever. But you definitely need a healer. It's necessary. Without a healer, the HP drain is just going to be too much, and you're not going to be able to handle it. Now you have Neuvillette. It's just going to be a double Hydro team. It depends on like what else do you want. So you want Neuvillette and Fiorina, and then you'd want a healer. So probably you should use like Beiju or Kuki, for example, or like Yao Yao, for example, which is going to work too. And then you'd want another support. So if you went with like, for example, Beiju, you already have a Dendro, you can bloom. In that case, you can go with like Kazuha, for example, to buff Neuvillette's damage. If you went with like Kuki, for example, or another healer, in that case, you can go with Nahida as a Dendro. You definitely want a Dendro on this team just to bloom. It's going to help you out a lot with damage. But yeah, Fiorina is just going to be buffing Neuvillette. Other than that, as I said, you'd want a Dendro probably, and then you want a healer on your team. If you can get those with one character, like Beiju, for example, you can add any other support and it's going to be pretty well, like Kazuha or whatever. Now moving on to her C2, at her C2, it's just going to get much easier to get like the fanfare stacks. So she's just going to be buffing characters unconditionally pretty much. At this point, she's going to be pretty much usable at any team that needs damage bonus buffs, which is just a lot of teams. Just to like throw in examples, any hyper carry team is going to work. For example, randomly, even like a Zhao team is going to work. Pretty random, but yeah, it can work. We're going to have Zhao, Fiorina, Jean, then like Zhongli, Bennett, Farzan, or whatever. But yeah, in that team, Fiorina is just going to be buffing your Zhao. She's going to be giving them a lot of damage bonus, which is pretty good. Zhao doesn't really scale that well with damage bonus, but the thing is, she's going to give you a lot, which is just going to be good. Also, Zhao drains his own HP a little bit, so that's pretty good. At C1, his HP drain is just going to be too slow. That's why I wouldn't really recommend using her with Zhao at C1. The HP drain from Zhao is just not good enough to, you know, give you that many fanfare stacks. It's going to drain like 1 or 2. Let me check. He's going to drain like 2% HP every 1 second, which is not really a lot. That's like 2 fanfare stacks every 1 second. So, you know, it's not much. But C2, you're going to be getting stacks faster, which is pretty good. So you'd want to use Zhao, Fiorina to buff your Zhao, Jean as a healer. That's kind of necessary. And then Zhongli, Bennett, Farzan, or whatever. Or if you're using Bennett, you can not use Jean, for example, but you definitely need a healer. Another random example, Noelle is actually going to be pretty good with her too. So you can definitely use her with like a Noelle team. So you have like Noelle, Goru, and then like you and Jean, for example. That's going to be a very good team too. Noelle can be the healer and also the main DPS at the same time. And then you can use Goru and Eugene to buff her. And then Fiorina also as a buffer. So it's just a Noelle hyper carry team. And it's actually going to be pretty good. I know a lot of you forgot about Noelle, but yeah, that's a very good support for Noelle actually. Another final example, let's say like Hu Tao, for example. You can use like Hu Tao, then Yellen or Xingsha or whatever, then Fiorina, and then like Beiju or Coco or Charlotte or whatever. Just another healer. So Hu Tao is obviously going to be the main hyper carry. Yellen or Xingsha is just for the Hydra application. Fiorina is also going to give you a little bit of Hydra application and also to buff your Hu Tao. And then you're going to need a healer. So you can use like Beiju, for example, as a healer and then also for Bergen. Or you can use like Kokomi or Charla or whatever. Just to clarify, guys, I'm not saying these teams are not going to work with like C0 to C1 Fiorina. These teams are going to work too, but the thing is Fiorina is going to be less efficient in these teams because the HP drain is not going to be that much. So you're probably not going to get like the full fanfare stack. stacks, or if you do, you're gonna gain them like late into the rotation, so you're not gonna have the damage bonus at like full time. In this video, we're just speaking about like the meta teams who are gonna be using Fiorina at like 100%. And with these teams, you probably wouldn't be able to use Fiorina at 100% because you're not gonna be gaining you know, like 100% fanfare stacks. So you're not gonna be gaining the full damage bonus with like C0 or C1 Fiorina. That's why I'm saying they're ideal at C2. I'm not saying they're unusable at C0 or C1. You can definitely still use her and she's gonna work, but it's ideal if you use her with these teams at C2 or higher. That's all I'm saying. She can still work in all of these teams at C0 and it's gonna be fine. It's not ideal, but it's definitely fine. So yeah, just, you know, just to clarify. But yeah, pretty much at C2, any team will work, especially any team with double Hydro and a healer. It's literally, I think, any team that has these two things. Fiorina is gonna be very good if you replace one Hydro with her, and it's just gonna make the team better. So literally any team you see in the game where there are like two Hydros and then a healer in the team, in that case you can replace Fiorina with one Hydro and the team is probably gonna be better. That's like a general rule of thumb. She can obviously work in pretty much any team really, because she's just gonna be given damage bonus, especially at C2. She's gonna be able to reach the fanfare stacks pretty fast, even at her own, without even like needing to drain any HP or whatever from other characters. So she's gonna be very, very flexible. Right now we're speaking about like her best meta teams, but generally speaking, she's gonna be usable in most teams in the game. Any team that needs damage bonus, she's gonna be there and they can give it to you. As long as she's not like ruining reactions and stuff like that, she's gonna be pretty good and usable. She's gonna be giving you damage bonus, a good sub DPS just for damage too. She's gonna be dealing, you know, huge amounts of damage. Honestly, even at C0 to C1, she's still gonna be usable at almost any team. Probably not the best at any team, that's for sure, but she's one of those, you know, very flexible flexes. Wherever you need, you know, a free slot, where it's just like free damage and then free damage bonus to your main DPS, Fiorina is there and she's gonna be filling in. And also she has both of the new mechanics, like the Uzia and Numa. She has them both, so we're probably gonna be seeing them soon in like the Abyss and stuff like that. So she's gonna be even better as a flex character. Wherever you need a character who uses either of them, you can just slap in Fiorina and she has them both. You can just switch in whenever you want and she's gonna be doing the job. So yeah, she's definitely gonna be a very great flex slot in most teams. Meta teams, I listed some of them before, but yeah, generally speaking, you can use her at any team. So yeah, that was the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.